Have been spending time working on multiplying fractions with whole numbers. And then in your last lesson, we multiplied two fractions together using models, and I showed you how to use cross cancellation to help you simplify before you multiply. And so today we're going to build fluency with multiplying two fractions by using cross cancellation to simplify, and then checking to see if I can simplify the problem any further after you multiply. So we take a look at your solve and share. The very first problem it says on Dan's e-reader, 2/3 of the books are fictions. Of the fiction books, 4/5 are mysteries. What fractions of the books on Dan's e-reader are mysteries? And so as this is a multiplication problem, one of those keywords that we had was what fraction of the books. So that tells me that I'm going to take 2/3 and I'm going to multiply that by 4/5. And so the very first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to, for cross canceling, you look at the diagonals. So I look at 2 and 5 and I see, do these two numbers have a number in common that I can divide by? So 2 can only be divided by 2 and 1. 5 can only be divided by 5 and 1. They don't have a value in common. 3 and 4. 3 can only be divided by 3 and 1 to make a whole number. They can be divided by other values, but I'm looking for whole numbers. 4 can only be divided by 4, 2, and 1, so they don't have any common factors. So I can't simplify it before the problem. I'm going to have to see if I can simplify after I multiply. And let's see what we have. So now I'm just going to multiply straight across. So I'm going to do 2 times 4, which is going to be 8. And then 3 times 5 is going to be 15. I look and see, do 8 and 15 have any numbers in common that I can divide by? My answer is no. So 8/15 is my answer of the books are mysteries. So a little over half of his books that are fiction are mysteries. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at your look back. It says, what fraction of the books are not mysteries? Explain. So if we're looking at the fraction of the books that are not mysteries, 8/15s were mysteries. And so I'm looking for the value of 15s that is not mysteries. It's going to give me the total of the fiction books. And so my answer is going to be 7/15 because 7/15, when I add that to 8/15, is going to give me a whole. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and move into your next problem. And so our next problem says Amelia takes pictures with her smartphone. Of the pictures, 5, 6 are animals. What fraction of all of her pictures are dogs? So her phone looks a lot like my phone. A lot of dog pictures on my phone. So 3/4 of animal photos are dogs. And so to find this, I'm looking for right here. You need to find 3/4 of 5, 6. This 3/4 of 5, 6 tells me that I'm multiplying. So I'm going to set my problem up. 3/4 times 5, 6. So I'm going to look at my cross canceling. So I'm going to start with 3 and 6, looking for a number that I can divide both 3 and 6 by. 3 can be divided by 3 and 1. 6 can be divided by 6, 3, 2, and 1. The numbers that they have in common, the factor that they have in common is 3. So I'm going to divide 3 by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 6 divided by 3 is going to be 2. And now I look at 4 and 5. 4 and 5. 4 has 4, 2, and 1 that I can divide it by. 5 has 5 and 1. And so they are already simplified. I can't cross cancel. So now I just multiply straight across. I multiply the value that I changed. So 1 times 5 is going to be 5. 4 times 2 is going to be 8. So my answer is going to be 5/8 of the photos. And so you'll notice that step 2 looks a little bit different than what we did because we didn't do the cross canceling. So if you look at step 8, you simplify, you end up with 15/24, and then you simplify by dividing by 3. Well, we did that step before we multiplied. So the reason that I like to use cross cancellation is sometimes you end up with large values and that makes that hard to simplify. Whereas if I can simplify before I start my problem, it makes looking at simplifying after I multiply a little bit easier. Okay. It says 1/10 of the animals pictures on a million smartphones are cats. Write and solve an equation to find what fraction of all of her pictures have cats in them. So again, she took, so 1/10 of 5/6 is what she has. So my equation is going to be 1/10 times 5/6 is going to equal C for cat photos. And then I'm going to solve. So I look to see if I can cross cancel. So I have 1 and 6. 1 is unit fraction. It's already simplified. I can't cross cancel. Look at 10 and 5. Do they have a number that is in common? Yes, 5 is their number that's in common. So 5 is going to be divided by 5. And when I do 5 divided by 5, I end up with 1. 10 divided by 5, I end up with 2. So 1 times 1 is going to be equal to 1. 2 times 6 is going to be equal to 12. So my number of cat pictures is C equals 1/12. And so I'm going to do, there's my equation. 1/10 of 5/6 equals C. C equals 1/12. All right. Okay, so you'll notice that there is lots of multiplication problems here. You'll see that we have some addition added in, but what's nice about the addition added in is they all have common denominators. So we're just going to definitely get our practice in with multiplying fractions today. So if we take a look at your number 1, it says, is the product of 3/6 times 5/4 equal to the product of 3/4 times 5/6? Explain how you know. Okay. And so if we look at this, very first way that we can say, are they going to be the same, is we can just simply multiply. So does changing the order of some of my numbers, does that matter? So I look and see, can I cross cancel? 3 and 4, nope, nothing common. 5 and 6, nope, nothing in common. So 3 times 5 is going to be 15, and then 6 times 4 is going to be 24. Take a look down here. 3 and 6, yep, they have 3 in common. So 3 divided by 3 is going to be 1. 6 divided by 3 is going to be 2. And then 4 and 5 don't have anything in common other than 1. So now I'm going to multiply. 1 times 5 is going to be 5. And then 4 times 2 is going to be 8. Ooh, are they going to be the same? Well, if I look at this right now, no, they are 5/8. That's not going to be the same. But what's nice up here is I can simplify. So this can be simplified by dividing by 3. And so when I divide by 3, I end up with 5/8. Yep, the products are both the same. So sometimes, even if I can't simplify in the multiplication, I still need to check my product because I can simplify afterwards. So in this one, I didn't. I just jumped down to the next problem and I said, hey, no, they're not equal. But you have to check. Do 15 and 24 have factors in common? They had 3 in common, so it could be simplified. Okay. All right. Why is adding 3/9 and 6/9 different from multiplying the two fractions? So when I'm adding 3/6 and 6/9, I'm looking for a whole. So 3/9 added to 6/9 is I'm looking for a whole, right? It's going to give me, it's two parts, and I'm going to find the whole. The denominator stay the same. I'm adding the numerators. So denominators stay the same. If I take a look at 3/9 times 6/9, what this means, remember that multiplication symbol means of. So I'm not looking for a whole, I'm looking for part of a whole. I'm going to multiply the numerators together. I'm going to multiply the denominators together. And when I do that, I'm going to get a smaller fractional part. And so it's not going to be the same. So when I add these together, I get a whole. When I multiply them together, I'm going to get a smaller fractional part of both fractions. All right, so 3 through 10, we're going to find each product. So again, I'm going to look to see if I can cross cancel. And so when I'm looking for cross canceling, I look at my diagonals. So start with 2 and 2. When they are the same value, I can cross cancel. So this becomes a 1, this becomes a 1. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 3 is going to be 3. Okay. 5/9 of 1/9. Again, 5 and 9, they don't have a common factor. 1 and 9, they don't have a common factor. So it's going to be 5/80 over 81. Okay. 7/10 multiplied by 3/4. 7 and 4 don't have a common factor. 3 and 10 don't have a common factor. So it's going to be 21/40. Take a look. Can I simplify 21 and 40? No, they do not have a common factor, so I cannot simplify. Here, 1 and 4, no common factor. 1 and 3, no common factor. My answer is going to be 1/12. 5/6 of 3/7. 5 and 7, no common factor. 3 and 6, they have a common factor of 3. So 3 divided by 3 is going to be 1. 6 divided by 3 is going to be 2. 5 times 1 is going to be 5. 2 times 7 is going to be 14. Okay, 3 and 12 have a common factor of 3. So 3 divided by 3 is going to be 1. 12 divided by 3 is going to be 4. So 11 and 5, no common factor. So I end up with 11/20. Okay, taking a look here, 4 and 5 do not have a common factor, but 2 and 10 do. Common factor is going to be 2. So 2 divided by 2 is going to be 1. 10 divided by 2 is going to be 5. 5 times 5 is going to be 25. 4 times 1 is going to be 4. Last problem we're going to take a look at is going to be 3/4 times 2/9, looking for a common factor. So 3 and 9, they have a common factor of 3. 3 divided by 3 is going to be 1. 9 divided by 3 is going to be 3. Now look at 4 and 2. 4 and 2 have common factor of 2. 2 divided by 2 is going to be 1. 4 divided by 2 is going to be 2. Then I'm going to multiply. 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 3 is going to be 6. So my answer is 1/6. I cannot simplify that any further. Take a look at your independent practice. The problems that I would like for you to do on this side is going to look a little funky because you guys are doing, there's a lot, and I don't need you to do this many. So I would like for you to go ahead. You're going to do problem 11, 15, 19, 23, 27. Then I'd like for you to go ahead and do 14, 18, 22, 26, and 30. So those are going to be the problems that you're going to do. So you're not going to do any of the middle problems. You're going to do your 2 outside edges. And then if we go to your math practices and problem solving, what I'd like for you to do on this page is I'd like for you to go ahead and do 31. I would like for you to do 32, 33, and then I'd like for you to do problem 35. So your last problem that you're going to do is going to be problem number 35.